The haunted mansion of shadows. The rain was pouring heavily. Thunder rumbled across the sky, and shadows danced eerily on the deserted roads. A worn-out van crawled slowly along a muddy path, its headlights barely piercing through the storm. Inside sat 6 strangers, each from different cities. The driver, Bashir, was a middle-aged man with a tired face and quiet demeanor. The passengers included Maureen, a determined and sharp-minded university student from Lahore. Asfand, a melancholic poet traveling from Peshawar. Talha, a businessman headed to Karachi. Nimra, a nurse from Multan, observant and cautious. Cameron, a video blogger who specialized in exploring haunted places. They had all booked this van ride together by chance, hoping for a cheaper journey. None of them knew their route would soon turn into a nightmare, not just across cities, but into the very heart of death and madness. The rain intensified to the point that the road ahead vanished from sight. Bashir turned the van onto a narrower, unpaved trail. "Where does this road go?" Maureen asked nervously. "According to the map, there used to be some old fort, or maybe a village," Cameron replied, squinting at his phone. A few minutes later, they saw a massive rusted iron gate looming ahead. Beyond it stood a crumbling old mansion, barely visible through the rain. Lightning lit up the sky, revealing its broken windows and vine-covered walls. The house looked less like a shelter and more like a tomb. Bashir sighed. "The van can't go any further in this storm. We'll have to spend the night here." Though reluctant, the passengers agreed. Bashir drove the van through the creaky gate and parked in front of an ancient veranda. As they approached, the mansion's heavy wooden door creaked open on its own. "Who opened that?" Nimra whispered, shivering. "The wind," Asfand offered, but his voice lacked conviction. Inside, the mansion was just as decayed and haunted as it appeared outside. Every room echoed a silence that screamed. Old portraits of forgotten nobles stared down from the walls, and cobwebs draped from every ceiling. Dust clung to everything, and an unnatural chill wrapped around them like a curse. Cameron eagerly pulled out his camera. "This place is perfect. Haunted, for sure." "This isn't the time for your videos," Nimra snapped. They gathered in the central hall, laying out thin blankets and trying to settle in for the night. But sleep remained out of reach. Around midnight, a blood-curdling scream echoed from the upper floor. Who was that?" Talha stuttered. They all rushed upstairs to the source of the sound. A door stood half open, one they could have sworn was closed before. "This was shut earlier." "I remember," Asfand whispered. They entered the room and were hit by a cold gust of air. The room appeared empty, save for a half-burnt portrait of a dark, veiled woman. Beneath it were the words, "Lady Zinat, guardian of this house," buried within its walls. They stood staring, the storm howling outside. When they finally returned downstairs, Talha was gone. Earlier, he had fallen behind. He thought he'd seen someone walk into an empty room and followed, believing it to be a villager. As soon as he stepped inside, the door slammed shut behind him. The lights went out. A voice whispered by his ear, "You disturbed my slumber." A black mist rose around him, wrapping his body. His eyes bled, and he couldn't even scream. His body stiffened, and vanished. All that remained were bloodstains and his phone. At 3 a.m., the group realized Talha was missing. "Where is he?" Maureen asked in panic. They searched the mansion from top to bottom. There was no sign of him, only his phone lying on the veranda floor. The screen displayed one chilling line. He saw her. She is awake now. Panic settled into every face. What is going on? Nimra asked, her voice trembling. Cameron kept his camera rolling, capturing every moment. Then came more strange events. Eyes in the portraits moved, footsteps echoed up and down the stairs, doors slammed shut on their own. Laughter rang out in empty rooms. Then, the figure appeared. Lady Zenith. A white dress, tangled hair, her face a black void, a moving shadow more than flesh. She isn't human, a Svand murmured. She glided toward them and spoke. You disturbed my peace, none of you may leave now. All the doors slammed shut. Lights died out. And one by one, the group began to vanish. Svand was writing in his notebook when he heard soft sobbing from the corner. Drawn by sorrow, he followed the sound to the old basement, believing someone needed help. Downstairs, Zenith's shadow followed. It wrapped around him like smoke. His bones cracked. His fingernails scraped the stone walls as he tried to escape. But he couldn't. Only his notebook remained, lying open to the last page. Zenith is here. Meanwhile, Bashir tried to start the van to escape. As he opened the driver's door in the garage, hands reached out from beneath the van and grabbed his ankles. Lady Zenith's voice echoed. Came to save them? Save yourself first. The van roared to life on its own. The garage doors slammed shut. Black smoke billowed from the engine, covering Bashir's face. His eyes turned white, and he collapsed. When the others arrived, the van was there, but Bashir was gone. Only the steering wheel was smeared in blood. Nimra then heard Bashir's voice calling her for help. She followed it to an old room that looked like a surgical chamber. A rusty lamp swung overhead, and beneath it sat a woman in a nurse's uniform, with no face. I was a nurse too, like you, and no one heard my cries, Lady Zenith's voice whispered. Now you will stay, forever. Nimra tried to flee. The door slammed. A scream was heard. When Cameron and Marine broke in, the room was empty, except for a bloody syringe. Only Marine and Cameron remained. We need to understand her, Marine said. We need to find her secret. They returned to the room with the portrait and discovered an old locked chest in the cupboard. Inside was a worn-out notebook. It read, Lady Zenith was the Nawab's wife. Betrayed by black magic, buried alive. Her spirit cannot rest until someone burns her shroud. Determined, Marine and Cameron searched the basement. The stench was unbearable. A shadow lurked behind them, following every step. Eventually, they found the grave, an unmarked mound in the far corner. As they dug, a shrieking wail echoed behind them. Lady Zenith appeared, her face twisting with fury. Stop! This is my home. But Marine struck a match and set the shroud ablaze. A blinding explosion of light erupted. Zenith's scream pierced the night. And then, silence. They woke outside, barely conscious. The sun was rising. The rain had stopped. The mansion stood crumbling, its windows shattered, its curse seemingly broken. Cameron opened his camera. The entire night was recorded. But as he replayed the last footage, Lady Zenith's whisper emerged again. I am not gone, only asleep.
If you like the video, then share and subscribe. Don't forget press to a bell icon.